Hey guys, it's Dami and welcome back, strollers. In today's video, I'm going to be talking to you guys about how I went about studying for the NCLEX. So for those who don't know me, I recently graduated Duke University's ABSN program. It was 16 months. I graduated in December, and I took the NCLEX 8 or 9 days later, and I passed it in 75 questions. So I'm gonna start off this video by talking about like my overall approach towards studying, the 3 main study resources I used, and then my overall strategies to help you guys study. Okay, so to preface, my school used ATI as their main NCLEX resource. So the cost of ATI, the program, was factored into our tuition and everything, so it was free technically. And they integrated it into our classes. So at the end of every class that we took, we had to take like an ATI subject test. And then at the beginning and end of our last semester, we had to take an ATI predictor exam that like predicted how our chances of passing NCLEX on the first try. So I realized that when I was doing questions in class or doing ATI practice exams, I was mainly getting questions wrong because I didn't know the content. And somebody once said it, I think it was Mark K. I think he said that you can't apply strategy if you don't first know content. And I was really frustrated because they would be like, here's the strategy to help you answer this question right. And for me, I was really annoyed because I was like, this isn't a strategy thing for me. This is a content thing for me. You didn't teach me this. So newsflash, they're not going to teach you everything that you need to know, at least in an accelerated program. They're not going to teach you everything that you need to know in order to pass the NCLEX. There are some topics that you will not know. And so I think in that regard, it's very important to make sure that you are learning these topics and this content on your own time, because they will not teach you everything. They cannot. So it's not even their fault. I started off by first learning the content that I felt that I was missing, and then practicing applying that content, and then practicing learning and applying strategy to the content that I had learned, if that makes sense. So my 3 main study resources that I used, one was ATI because it was free and provided. That I used Mark K, not only his lectures, but also he has a YouTube channel called Clinic Review. And there's a lady on there called Sharon, and she's super helpful. I love her videos. So I used her a lot. And then I also used Archer, which is like another test prep company. So I used ATI mainly for like content review and for practice questions in the beginning of the semester. And then when I felt like ATI had given me everything that I wanted, because I didn't really like their rationales, I didn't like certain things about the program, they weren't working for me, then I ended up getting Archer. Yeah, as I mentioned, for most of the semester, I just relied on using ATI, and then I also used Mark K's lectures throughout the semester. So he has 12 lectures. I found them off of TikTok. I know that they're like being taken off like all media platforms because Mark K's lectures or his review series, you usually have to pay a lot of money for. They used to be free, and then when I started getting near graduation, they started being taken off of like YouTube, Spotify, everywhere. But I found mine off of TikTok. So I'm sure if you do some searching, you will find them. And they were just really helpful for content. He covered like a broad overview of a lot of the content that you need to know, and he like didn't go super in depth into it. The reason why I'm not that big of a fan of some other lecturers, such as Sarah with Registered Nurse RN, is mainly because that's helpful for like when you're studying for a test, or like I think it's really helpful for people in like 4-year nursing programs or longer accelerated programs. But for studying for the NCLEX, I really just need to know the main points, and Mark K really hit those main points well. So knowing those main points was super helpful, and then taking my own notes with his lectures were very helpful. So some people will post their notes, but I didn't find it helpful to be reading other people's notes or like even be following along with other people's notes. I need to word it in my own words And then I also needed to write down what I thought was important. And I did this. Most people can like handwrite, but I did it by typing, mainly because I can Command F search anything that I need to do. And I can copy and paste, and I can highlight and stuff like that. So I typed out his notes, and then I also used the blue book, which is a set of flashcards. But I didn't use the blue book until like 2 days before my exam, and the Quizlet flashcards that I found, it was like over like 2,000 flashcards. So it was really just like basic knowledge just for my information. And a lot of people will bash ATI, but like I gotta give ATI some credit. They have helped a lot of people pass. So I, was trusting the process that my nursing school has used this for such a long time. It has to be helpful in some way. Let me take advantage of it. And then Archer I used mainly for application. So I got the lowest subscription plan of Archer, which was $60, 60 days at the time that I was buying it, $60 for 60 days. I would have gone 30 days if I could, but 60 was the lowest. And I got it about 3 weeks before the end of the semester. And then by the time I took my NCLEX, I had like 20 days left. And I used it purely for like an objective score, to have on a question bank so that I could know like how I was doing with like my studying and my chances of passing the NCLEX. And I know a lot of people use UWorld, but after my research, I just found that Archer would definitely be more helpful to me than UWorld and more cost effective. If you guys want a whole video on like how I did my research on finding what product was gonna work the best for me and why I ended up choosing Archer, leave a comment down below and I'll be sure to cover that. So yeah, I really liked Archer. Okay, so the Mark Tay lectures, I mentioned their YouTube channel, which was Clinic Reviews, and the lady on there, Sharon, she does specific topics, and then she also does practice questions with you, and she's really good at explaining her thought process. So what I would do after watching a couple of the videos is that I would watch them. When she got to the practice questions, I would pause it. I would mentally decide what my answer was and also give rationalization to why that was my answer. And then I would press play and then hear what she has to say, because that really helps you compare your thought process with somebody else's thought process and showing you where you're either going right or you're going wrong. So I really liked her. My first overall strategy would be to write down every topic and question that you get wrong and dive deeper into those topics. So don't just write down like the rationales for each question you get wrong, because that's really only going to help you with that one question. But make sure that you have a broad overall knowledge of the whole topic or disease process or medication that you got wrong. So an example of that is that it's one thing to write down that like lithium causes GI upset, and it's another thing to write down lithium is a drug in this class of medications. It's used for this, and common side effects are this, this, and this. Make sure to watch out for this. So making sure that you're not just writing down a rationale for that one question you got wrong, but diving deeper into the topic of that question and why you got it wrong. That way you can answer multiple questions for a topic rather than one question that you got wrong for one topic, if that makes sense. My second overall strategy is to definitely write down a plan or a schedule for how you want to study. Some people, start off the semester with the whole 2-month plan of what they're gonna do. Mine was more of like a list as I go, and towards the last 2 weeks getting ready for the NCLEX, I was like panicking, so I was like, I need to write something down. So mine was more like a list on my phone. Some other people's look like this, which is a really well thought out and devised schedule, colors, everything. I love it. Just wasn't working for me, so I didn't do that. But it's really good to like write down a plan for studying and writing down the topics that you plan to review. That way you're not forgetting something, and that you're also able to visually see how you're progressing towards your study goal. And yeah. Okay, and then my most helpful tip is to dive into why you're getting a lot of questions wrong at a time. Is it because you don't know content or you need strategy? Like I said, for me, it was mainly content, and then towards the end, of course, it was strategy. One way you can figure this out is by answering questions with and without your notes. So say you're stuck on a question and you pull out your notes to help you. If you have the content in your notes to help you answer that question and you get the question wrong, then it's probably a strategy problem. But if you use your notes and your notes actually help you answer that question correctly, then you know that you have the content to answer that question, if that makes sense. So basically analyzing, like, do I just not know the information to answer this question, or do I not understand what the question is asking, and that's why I need strategy? So comparing you answering questions using your notes versus you answering questions without using your notes, are you still getting a bunch of questions wrong? Then it may be more of a content or strategy issue that you need to figure out first. Okay, so that's all I have for you guys in this video. I have a ton more I could say about this topic, but I didn't want to make this video so long with me rambling. So if you have any follow-up questions or you want me to dive deeper into a topic, be sure to leave a comment below. Don't forget to subscribe, because I'm going to be covering more content around the NCLEX, everything I learned, because wow, it was a journey. And I'm starting my new job soon, so you guys will also get the insights of a fresh new grad nurse and all of that. So thanks for watching, and see you later, strollers.